time to talk about the best Funko Pops of 2021. Now, I'm going to be as objective as possible and taking into consideration a wide variety of factors to determine what I consider to be the best Funko Pops of the year. So just because something is my favorite character or my personal favorite pop, I do recognize the flaws in them. So I'm not just going to make that the number one pop of the year just because it's my favorite. I'm going to go through all kinds of categories, including best chase, best repaint, best 6-inch, a bunch of other ones, and also the top 10 individual pops of the year and the best series of the year. Of course, just because I leave off your favorite Funko Pop doesn't mean I think it's bad. There's just so many releases that snubs are bound to happen. And there's always going to be those pops where 90% of fans may think they're ugly, but they're somebody's favorite. And the other way around too. All right, let's kick the show off with the most improved Funko Pop of the year. The new Hobgoblin definitely looks better than the original one from 2016, which was an exclusive in the Marvel Collector Core Year 1 box. It was just a repaint with a couple of slight changes, kind of weak, but he still looks kind of cool. But this new one is an improvement. I also think the new Emily from Corpse Bride looks better than the original. They added a worm to her empty eye socket, which is a really eye-catching detail, and the diamond glitter on her looks pretty good actually. But the pop to me that made the biggest improvement is Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, the new one isn't the best pop in the world, but look how much better it is than the original from 2015. The original honestly just looks like they got a do-it-yourself pop and spray painted it with shiny blue paint, like how a poor custom would look. Absolutely no details anywhere. He's missing his cape. From the sculpt, the color, the finish, the translucent web cape, the hands, everything is better about the new Spider-Man 2099, and that's why I think it's the most improved pop of the year. For the pop rides, I think Stitch and Rocket is a really nice one. Very colorful, great details, great sculpt, nice memorable scene. Jack Skellington in the snowmobile is also done very nice. I really like the way the sack of toys looks, just very well executed. So those were two very colorful, eye-catching pop rides, right? But when I think about a pop ride, the Dale Earnhardt with Car is exactly what I think they should be. This is just a great NASCAR collectible. In my opinion, all the NASCAR pops should just be pop rides just like this. I mean, it's NASCAR. The driver's cool, right? But the car is also kind of a big deal. And I like that they didn't make them super huge. The car doesn't take away from the driver doesn't take away from the car. It's just perfect. And that's a theme you're going to see in this video, is that it's not necessarily the pop that has the most shit going on with it that is always the best thing. It's what's executed perfectly and what works the best as the pop. And I think this Dale Earnhardt with Car is just a perfect pop ride. The pop moments and the pop deluxe I kind of combine into the same category because they are so similar. And the first one I considered this year for the best is Tanjiro vs. Rui. I have this pop and in person it looks really good, especially Rui, but one of the things I don't like about it, and it's a flaw that a lot of the bigger pop products have, like the rides, the moments, the towns, all have a problem with having large pieces of plastic that looked a little unfinished. And the base on this one looks that way a little bit. I think it could have been a little bit more detailed, maybe a little bit more paint on there, maybe a darker wash of brown over the lighter brown to make it look a little bit more finished. But other than that, this looks really cool. It's just a great moment. I also think Alice with Flowers is one of the best pops of the year in general. It's one of my favorites, especially because, I mean, this is like 7 little pops. I just love how the flowers turned out. But similar to the Demon Slayer moment, the ground lacks detail to me. It's too smooth. It should have had more texture to make it look more like dirt. Although it's forgivable because this is such a cartoony moment. It's a nitpick really, but you have to do that when determining these lists. And that's why to me, the best moment or deluxe of the year is Harry Potter with the letters. It's a great scene in the movie where he gets accepted into Hogwarts. I love how dynamic it looks with all the letters floating around. they were able to mimic how they look in the movie without you noticing so much that, well, they're just attached to Harry Potter. They're not really floating around. But they did it so well where it just doesn't look that way. It actually does look like they're floating around. And they have a bunch of them scattered around the floor as well. So you don't see these big, flat, unpainted pieces of plastic that look unfinished. And honestly, there's been so much Harry Potter stuff that it's hard to think of something that's kind of new and fresh and a must-have for collectors. And if you collect Harry Potter, this is a great one to add. And that's why I think it's the best deluxe or moment of the year. I really like the Hex Girls, although I feel like the box could have used an insert behind them because the multi-packs do run into the problem of there just being too much cardboard going on for inbox collectors. I really prefer them to have an insert. And the Hex Girls themselves are a little plain individually, so it was wise for them to release them as a 3-pack. And they look great as a 3-pack. They're just not the most exciting designs. The Pop-in-a-Box exclusive, Ellie and Carl, on their wedding day is also very nice. It's a great companion piece for the Carl and Ellie 2-pack as children. And this one does have an insert behind it of the stained glass window, and that looks very nice. I also thought that the Force Ghost 3-pack from Return of the Jedi was pretty nice. Would I have preferred the original actor for Anakin Skywalker? I don't know, maybe. It doesn't really matter. I don't even know the actor's name. But these are nice repaints. The glow on them is very good. They have an insert in the back. It's a great piece for Star Wars fans. I also think that the new BTS pops all came out so good. Look, I don't listen to BTS. I couldn't tell you one of their songs or even recognize one of their songs. But I gotta admit that these creeps look good as Funko Pops. And yeah, these are all released as commons, so people can buy their favorite one or whatever, but it's nice to have the entire band all in one pack. And I do like how they made them all side by side, instead of 4 on the bottom and 3 on top like the original one. This looks way better. The box art is nice, it has an insert in the back, and go look up these pops individually and just look at how much detail they actually have. It's pretty impressive. But for me, the best multi-pack of the year is definitely The Rock and Mankind, the Rock and Sock Connection Walmart exclusive. Because they're a tag team, they should be a 2-pack. It's got the insert that's nice. But what makes this extra special is that both of these are brand new molds for these characters. That's a new Rock from a really great era. And this is the first time we actually get Mankind as a Funko Pop. They've made Mick Foley, but this is Mankind. And he came out really, really good. And this is the only way to get him. So to me, it has all the elements of what makes a Funko Pop multi-pack the best. Repaints are a lot of people's least favorite Funko Pop variations, but I've been collecting vinyl art toys for a while, and repaints are kind of the name of the game. In fact, Funko probably does less repaints than every other, vinyl art toy company, to be honest. And it does take an extra level of creativity to make a pop look completely new just by repainting it. And I think these Jimi Hendrix are a good example of that. All 3 of them look good, but the blacklight ones definitely stand out. I'm not sure which one I like better, actually. I have the one in the middle, missed out on the one on the right, but I really like the way that blue face looks with the green jacket and the black hair. But then again, the one in the middle with like the rainbow hair and the rainbow pants is super eye-catching. Totally wild paint job, looks very, very different than the normal one on the left. Just great repaints. I also think the comic book inspired Star Wars repaints were really nice. And my favorite one was the Stormtrooper. And this particular mold has been done plenty of times. But there's something about this comic book style on the left that I really like. In person, they're very eye-catching. The box art was great on them as well. It was a good idea to do them in this style. But honestly, the repaints that I like the most out of the year are the 3 Immortals from the Pop Asia line. The originals are on the bottom, but they repainted them in the blue and white Chinese porcelain style. And the molds for these guys are so detailed that wash of blue really highlights all the intricate sculpting that went into these. They look totally different than the originals. It makes sense. It's creative. To me, they're the best repaints of the year. For the best 10-inch pop of the year, it came down to 2 badass robot beings from outer space. And one of them is Soundwave. He's a transformer. They're huge. It makes sense to be a 10-inch pop. But what I like about this is that it came with 4 interchangeable tapes, which borders on a play feature, right? And collectibles aren't really for playing with, but they are for displaying. And the fact that you can change the tape up or put the tapes with him is a really nice feature for a collectible. And honestly, I think they should do stuff like that more with the 10-inch pops. If it makes sense for the character, right? You don't want to like add Kung Fu grip to something just to add something, right? But it is nice to have a little extra feature with a 10-inch pop. And I think this was a very good idea. But if I could only pick one 10-inch pop to own from 2021, it would be the Galactus from the Virtual Con. Very limited, not taking that into consideration. I just think that this paint job is pretty awesome on this character. It just looks so good. And yes, there was a custom artist that painted a galaxy pattern on Galactus, right? And I can understand why he may feel like Funko stole his idea. But I mean, it's a galaxy on Galactus. And yes, he executed it well. But this only came out a couple months after he revealed his. And I know it takes Funko a little longer than that to actually make pops, especially during a year where everything is delayed. So, I mean, it's probably just a coincidence. And also, you know, it's like not that original of an idea. It's like saying, you know, I'm going to make a custom of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and just make the whole thing look like pizza. Or I'm going to make a custom of like one of the gems, like say Pearl from Steven Universe, and I'm going to give her a pearlescent finish. It's a good idea. It makes sense, but it's not something where I feel it's impossible for two people to independently come up with. I think his version is good. I think Funko's version is good. And I honestly do think it's a coincidence. The 10-inch Galaxy Painted Galactus, to me, is the best 10-inch pop of the year. There were quite a few 6-inch pops that were very nice this year, but 4 of them stood out to me. And the first one is Aang in Avatar state. I believe there's a common version and a glow-in-the-dark version. And in the glow-in-the-dark version, it's just his eyes and the arrow that glow, which is very cool. But both versions are pretty nice to have. And there's a nice centerpiece if you have a big Avatar collection. Really like the way the rocks look as they're floating around Aang. Just a very well done pop. Doctor Strange Supreme Unleashed also looks fabulous, super colorful. I was a little disappointed by the What If show. I'll probably never watch it again, kind of force myself to finish it. But a lot of the pops that came out of the show are very good, including this one. I also think that Mimic from Dungeons & Dragons is probably my favorite pop of the year when it comes to creativity. A lot of the times when they depict the Mimic from Dungeons & Dragons, he's a chest. And they could have easily done that and it would have been cool. But they made him a pop box from a previous Dungeons & Dragons pop. It's just a fabulous idea. The actual execution of it looks very good. It's hard not to pick this pop up and look at all the details, turn it around in your hand when you have it in person, and really check it out, even if you're not a fan of Dungeons & Dragons. It's just very interesting. I know some people are disappointed that they thought this was going to be bigger, and I understand what they're saying. This does look pretty tiny in that 6-inch box, but it's still a little taller than the actual pops, so it still looks great out of the box. But yeah, it's not as big as an actual pop box, but that doesn't bother me really. But going from a maybe undersized 6-inch pop to definitely an oversized 6-inch pop. Like, I'm actually surprised this is categorized as 6-inch. And that is Tiamat from Dungeons & Dragons. Look at this guy. It's a 5-headed dragon. That's freaking awesome. And all the heads are different colors, but they don't clash. It's not a super bright, ugly green or bright red. They're all kind of subdued a little bit. Very nice color choices. I love the way these colors look together. And the eye color they picked for each head is also really nice. I mean, that's probably from the original design, but I'm just saying it looks great as a pop. And like I said, this pop is huge. All the heads also have a different sculpt with open mouths, so you see the teeth, the tongue, lots of detail. This is just one of the best 6-inch pops that Funko has ever made. Is it just me, or did Funko make less chases for the actual Funko Pops this year? Because I don't feel like too many chases stood out to me, too many chases where, oh man, I must have that chase. That said, there was still some very good ones, like La Llorona. La Llorona wasn't a very popular movie. I don't even know anybody that's even seen it. But I did see a lot of people on social media saying they're picking this one up purely on cool factor, that it just looks cool. And La Llorona, yeah, is a Latino, like, mythical monster legend or whatever. But this is from the movie. What I'm getting at is that this is such a cool chase that people were picking this up regardless of being fans of the property or not, which says a lot about a collectible. I also really, really like the armored Samurai Jack chase. That helmet is so elaborate. The face mask is so eye-catching. I even love the rope tie. All done so well. The only thing I don't like about this one is that if you display these side by side, the proportions are a little bit off. Like the eyes don't exactly line up where they should be when Jack has the helmet on. I think maybe the helmet had to be way bigger, which I'm sure Funko messed around with and, they thought it just was too big. But this is just a nitpick from me because it looks great. I also thought the Mandy chase was really good. It's a memorable aesthetic from the movie. But what's impressive to me about this chase is that it's just a repaint, but it looks completely different. And this could have easily been in the best repaints category as well. But I figured it was better in the chase category. And it's one of those chases where having the common and the chase doesn't seem redundant. But definitely the best chase of the year is the alien from They Live. The common is awesome, totally striking design and combination of colors, but the chase is so significant to the meaning of the movie, and it also looks really good. The obey word in those block letters like that has become iconic, and this is another one where I feel like having the common and the chase isn't redundant either. So if you haven't seen They Live, it's about an alien race that is living among us, right? And when the main character puts on these special glasses, he sees them as they actually are. And that's what the chase is. And he sees like all of our advertisements, all of the things that occupy our mind, translated into what they literally are, like consume, obey, stuff like that. It's really interesting. Definitely an underrated movie with a pretty high concept, but maybe executed a little campy. So it's considered kind of like a cult classic movie. But it definitely does have some very interesting ideas and themes in it. So yeah, the black and white, do not question authority, obey, chase alien from They Live is, I think, the best chase of the year. Now, before I get into the top 10, here are the honorable mentions that didn't quite make it on my list. Now on to the best top 10 individual pops of the year, starting at number 10. Courage the Cowardly Dog. This is a perfect example of a pop that is just done perfectly. Like I said, perfectly is going to be a theme in this video. Courage doesn't have a lot of crazy anime hair going on, a lot of flaming weapons. He's not flocked, he doesn't glow in the dark. He just looks like exactly what Courage the Cowardly Dog should look like as a pop. He's cowering. The position of his ears are perfect. I love the highlight on his nose. I like that they put him on a stand so his little legs are dangling. It really conveys the animation style. And my favorite detail is that sculpted in hole in his tooth. Courage the Cowardly Dog is a perfectly executed pop, and that's why it's in my top 10. The NYCC Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. At first glance, this guy looks a little plain, maybe a little ugly. Well, Boba Fett has had a hard life, alright? But similar to Courage, this is one of those pops where everything on this pop is done exactly right. The scarring on the head, it's not overdone, it's not underdone. It's noticeable without it being distracting. which Funko has done plenty of times. They add scarring to a character and they paint it pink, or they paint on the scarring and it looks terrible. But here they sculpted it, but they didn't paint it. But the scars are noticeable. I like the way they did the eyebrows. Not too big, just right. And the little lines underneath the eyes, they look good. His actual cloak, the way that it's muddy on the bottom. I've seen it in person, and in person it looks even better. You see a lot of details in his weapons, like the buttstock has a different color painted on the very back. They don't need to do those little details, but it all makes it look like a more expensive collectible, more accurate. His Tusken Raider club thing, I forget what it's called, has lots of textures in it, several different paint colors. You know, if this was 5 years ago, Funko might have just made that all brown or all black. And we wouldn't really question it, we'd be used to it. But they really didn't hold back on making all the details absolutely perfect on this pop. And of course, he looks a lot different than all the other Boba Fett pops. And his reintroduction into the series was pretty awesome. Look, I don't know what the fuck a Naruto is, but there are a lot of pops from Naruto that makes me slow down my scroll and really check out the design and details of them. And one of the ones that did it for me this year was this Itachi with crows. Similar to the Harry Potter with letters, they were able to make these crows look like they're flying all around him without it looking like they just attached to the character, which they did, but they did it in a way where it still looks like they're flying around him and it still looks very dynamic. The hair conveys motion really well. I like the way those eyes look, the way he's holding out his hands. He's got some fresh slides on with these purple painted toenails. You know, that's not my thing, but the man pulls it off and that's fine. Just a really cool pop that you don't even have to be a fan of this property to appreciate the artistry that went into this. This new Finn the Human from Adventure Time is such a huge improvement over the original Finn that it probably would have won my most improved category. But this one is so different than the original that I don't really consider it like a remake of a pop. Not in the same way those were. This is an evolution of the character. It's from an episode where they're trying to be, you know, wizards. And this is like, I think he calls it the ultimate wizard, but he gets all these superpowers, right? The power of, you know, tiger fist and flaming boots and flight and all kinds of wacky stuff, right? And his robe is tucked into his pants. That's why you see it coming out of the shorts leg there and bunching up. But I just really like how it's all done. The mouth is sculpted. I love the green eyes, the translucent pieces for the flames. The tiger paw is really interesting. Even the box art is nice and colorful and eye-catching. We hadn't had any Adventure Time pops in a long time, and they came out with something that, you know, definitely didn't disappoint. It went above and beyond and like surprised me with how good the new Adventure Time line is. And I think Finn the Human is the best one. I have not seen Fire Force. I had not heard of Fire Force before the Funko Pops. But the moment I saw them, I immediately added them to my list of what I consider the best pops of the year. I just loved how they all look together. I love the flame effects. The uniforms are striking. The hair sculpts are very intricate. And yeah, are there other anime pops with a lot more going on? Yeah. But just because something has a lot of shit going on doesn't make them extra great. Like, one of the ones I think about are the Yu-Gi-Oh pops. Do they look like the Yu-Gi-Oh characters? Yeah, they're instantly recognizable. And they're really colorful. And the hair is, you know, striking. But it's just so wacky and honestly kind of ugly to me. I've always thought that some of the anime designs are just ugly, despite them being intricate. But not on these Fire Force ones. They're very obviously anime, but they're a little bit more grounded. Like, relying a little bit more on just good design instead of over design, if that makes sense. But by far, my favorite one is this Hot Topic exclusive Tamaki in this crouching pose. Like, since I haven't seen the series, it looks like she's about to jump or something like that. But I just love the way the fire looks, like how it creates those horns behind her head. And what they chose to make glow on this, like the stripes on her uniform. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have just made the fire glow or just her eyes glow, which they've done before. But this looks very, very good, very dynamic. And honestly, it makes me want to watch the anime. The common Charizard from Pokemon. This guy, executed just right. Instantly recognizable. One of the things I really like about it is how big he is. This is just a common release in a standard size box. But look how big he is. He looks like a 6-inch pop. Funko definitely didn't cheap out on him. They even give him 2 types of translucent plastic for his tail. Super accurate. And just what Charizard means to like the collecting world, right? Famously one of the most expensive Pokemon cards out there, the first edition Charizard. It's a significant character in that aspect. Funko did him justice. I would tell you to pick up a bunch of these because I feel like they're going to go up in price in the future. But since it's Pokemon, they're probably going to flock him. They're going to diamond him. Probably make him silver. I think there's a 10-inch one. So don't go crazy investing in them. But definitely don't wait too long to pick one up. Because I do think that this particular pop is going to go through cycles of scarcity. I think Funko's going to probably keep remaking it because it's going to be popular. But who knows how long it'll take in between. So if you're a fan of this, definitely pick it up so it doesn't spike up in price on you. The Pop in a Box Scarlet Witch or Wanda Maximoff from Avengers Endgame. There have been a lot of Scarlet Witch pops. And I have some of the really early ones. And I gotta say, they're pretty rough. Almost ugly. But this new Wanda is definitely the best one. One of her most badass moments. I love the sculpting on her mystical power. It looks so good. I like the way her jacket looks, her eyes, the fact that it glows in the dark, very appropriate. Her hair appears to be pieces that are glued on, so the hairline is painted well. It's just the best Scarlet Witch pop. Alice in Wonderland is full of great pops. I absolutely love this line. But one of the best ones by far is the Walrus and the Carpenter. You get 2 pops for the price of 1. Although, it would have been nice to have the Carpenter maybe twice as big and have him be his own pop. And have that pop come with little buddies that are the oysters. That's the only thing that would make this better. But who knows how many people would want the actual Carpenter from Alice in Wonderland. He's not famous like the Cheshire Cat or Alice. Or the Mad Hatter. So I understand why Funko paired these together. I mean, they're together in the movie as well. But I definitely think the Walrus is big enough to be on his own. Carpenter, twice as big with the little oysters, would be a cool pop on its own as well. But that said, together, they're pretty amazing. Colorful, the details are spot on. I love the Walrus's hat, the missing fingers on the glove. You even see a little bit of his skin between the glove and the sleeve. Nice little touch. And even the box art on the Alice in Wonderland pops was done very well. I love that they used the flowers, the pinks, the dark greens. They all look good together. It's just a big, substantial, well done pop with a buddy. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this one. Who doesn't like dogs, right? The Alebrije Dante from Coco has become possibly one of the most eye-catching pops in my entire collection. You put this guy in a wall of like 50 pops and he stands out. He's so colorful. They got that dumb dog expression just right on his face. He just looks like a dumb dog looking at you going like, oh, what are you going to do for fun now? I just love the way the sculptor looks. And of course, this paint job is amazing. Styled after Mexican Alebrije art. Definitely go look that up if you like this style. It's very pretty. And I think Funko did a good job stylizing it somewhat, but still making it look like traditional Alebrije artwork and creating this really nice Funko Pop. And it would be fine just as it is. It doesn't even have to glow, but it does glow in the dark and it glows in different colors, which is just amazingly beautiful for just a $15 collectible. So you know how Funko is blurring the lines between what's a deluxe, what's a moment, what's just a standard pop, what's a 6-inch pop? Well, this Tanjiro with the water dragon is just a regular size pop. Yeah, he's been hard to get, but that's just because everybody wants this guy. Whether you're a fan of Demon Slayer or not, this pop is so awesome that you just want to get it. I really love the way that they have him jumping like that. With his back foot, I believe is what's connected to the actual water. So the effect doubles as the stand. Very nice. Although the way his robes are flowing, the highlights in his hair look good. Funko tends to screw that up sometimes and it looks terrible. But they did a good job here. They even painted, the dragon head with some blue and green in there. The white highlights look good, just like water. And of course, it glows in the dark. Hopefully this guy gets restocked so everyone can get one because he is a little pricey right now. But be patient, it's box lunch. They tend to get a lot of their exclusives, and not all at the same time. But yeah, this guy, the moment I saw him, immediately put him on my list, and he kind of stayed there until the end of the year. And I just don't think that this year there was a pop that was released that's better than this one, that made fans of any property more happy than this made Demon Slayer fans. Alright, now on to the best series of the year. As the year went on, it started to become very clear to me that there were 3 series that were the clear standouts. The first one being Demon Slayer, of course. Every single one of these pops looks great. Yes, there's little flaws here and there, like what I said about the moment. Or maybe the common Tanjiro is a little boring compared to all the exclusives. But that just gives you a little bit of a choice, right? You don't have to get all of them. Just get your favorite one. And with 3 exclusives, it makes it easier for you to have at least one exclusive. So I don't mind that as much. Just a great series of pops so far. I also think the Alice in Wonderland line is wonderful. Every single one of these pops, just like the Demon Slayer line, are all done really well. They're all great. Yes, there's also 4 Alices. But one of them, the one with the flowers, is one of the coolest pops Funko has ever made. The one where she's falling down, holding the book, is very memorable, very cool on the stand. The one where she's holding the bottle, also very memorable. On a side note, I believe that they left the Drink Me off of the bottle. Not because they forgot to put it on. I honestly think that's for kids. And maybe putting Drink Me on a little bottle that looks like it holds medicine might be bad messaging. So honestly, that's why I feel like they left it off. So I don't mind that as much. And even the comment with Alice curtsying is very nice as well. Does this series have flaws? Yeah. Like, I think the caterpillar should have been holding the hookah. Or at least maybe one of the letters somehow incorporated in there, or some of the smoke in translucent plastic incorporated around his body would have been very nice. Or even just make him a deluxe and put him on the mushroom with the hookah. Would have been the best pop of the year. Tweedledee Tweedledum, of course, great 2-pack. The queen we had seen before, but not the king, so it doesn't seem redundant. All very strong pops in this series. And the final series I'm considering for best is Dungeons & Dragons. The definition of all killer, no filler. There is not one weak spot in every single pop that was released for Dungeons & Dragons this year. And yes, I know Vecna doesn't come out for like another week and a half or something. I know that. Shut your little mouths. But I included him here because he was announced so long ago and he's going to come out in like a week. But every single one of these pops is perfect, accurate, colorful, and of course they come with a 20-sided die, or D20. And even those look fabulous. I mean, look at the one that comes with Warduke, the guy with the blue helmet. Look how pretty that die looks. So then, what is the best series of the year? 3 great series. Either one of them could be series of the year, but honestly, pop for pop, the series with the most quality to me is Dungeons & Dragons. I mean, just look at them all together compared to these other 2 series. These other 2 series look great all together, but this Dungeons & Dragons series so far is pure perfection. Alright guys, that was the best Funko Pops of 2021. Thank you for watching. I'm hoping that you all have a great 2022. And I also want to thank my loyal patrons who support the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you very much. And thank you everybody else who watches. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite pops of the year are. What do you think I snubbed? What do you think shouldn't have been on this list? Or anything else you'd like to say. Alright, love you guys. Bye.